So going off that, we've realized that currently a lot of data centers are trying to interconnect to the grid. They're emerging as major loads and in some cases potential partners. What challenges are you guys seeing at the commission with respect to the interconnection queues, how this large loads could potentially affect the resilience of the systems, and how regulators kind of managing the pressure across board?
Yeah, you have to really put the new load in various different categories. Data centers are a big part of it. And a data center is not a data center, it's not a data center. I mean, there's these data centers that kind of need to be on all the time and demand very stable resources. They look a lot different than, say, maybe a Bitcoin, who is just trying to do it cheap and running whenever the energy is cheap. And so I think what we've been trying to do is figure out how to categorize them as of recent, how to create tariffs to allow them to come in. Minnesota, fortunately, has had the honor and privilege to work with large loads. Minnesota Power is a very unique utility, one of the smaller utilities in the nation, but somewhere north of 80% of its load is locked into about 10 large loads, either mining operations or large paper mill operations. And so they really kind of set a standard for us to work with, where you have to work with that particular load, what its need is, and can it participate now in this system that we've created that has a market on a bulk regional basis that you could play in? Does that make sense? How can we curtail you if there's an emergency? Can you be curtailed? So we need to create tariffs that ask those questions up front and work with a service agreement with that large load so that they are participating in the system in a way that benefits the system and also benefits them. That's what happens at Minnesota Power. Their regional rates for their residential customers is some of the lowest in the nation, and that's because they have these big customers who have built out that system for their need, and they get to ride on it a little cheaper than they could, say, maybe in an Otter Tail Power, which is a more distributed, more like a cooperative type structure. And so when these large loads come on, they can be beneficial, and we can't lose track of that. But man, it's scary. I can tell you most regulators right now are deer in the headlights with this load increase. When we see the graphs that even when I first started at SPP 5 years ago, the load growth was very level. I mean, it was not increasing hardly at all. And within the last year, with all this AI rush to do this, the load growth has gone off the charts exponentially higher. And so that's scaring some of us. Is this a bubble? Is it going to be like a tech bubble that these guys are all running around trying to get projects done, and half of them are going to go bankrupt, and we're going to be left with Apple and a couple others left over in the end? Or is this going to be is this a sustainable thing? And I think so. Right now, where commissioners are at, policymakers like myself, we're a little scared. We're a little deer in the headlights because we're trying to really fully understand, is this real? Because if we build out to you, that's going to be a lot of stranded assets that like in Minnesota Power, that's why we worry about it. Because in Minnesota Power, when you only have maybe 15% of your customers are not these large loads, and you strand a large load, that 15%, all of a sudden their bills are not going to just go up by 5 or 10%. They're going to double and triple. And so we got to be very careful, not to have stranded assets. And that's a little scary. Some of these guys, frankly, look scary to me. When we're talking Googles and Apples, that doesn't scare me, but they're also very pushy compared to other large loads.